Hello and welcome to Record Label Boss with your boy Avia on the microphone. And welcome to this Music Industry Monday with a very, very interesting topic today. And the topic is the future of artists and labels. It could also be called the topic of the future of music. The reason for this today is that I just had a conversation with one of my artists, with Mike DeRoche from Karma's Tea. And I previously had a conversation with one of my other artists, which is Deneb from Cygnus, about channels and brands and money and royalties. And it's really complicated. It's really difficult. But what I found is that it's the same systematic, I wouldn't say problem, but issue with a lot of the artists and a lot of the labels. And it's an interesting thing to talk about. If you have any questions or you have something to contribute for today, just put your chat in Reddit or whatever it is. I want to say hello to Yomim and Lada Pitchy and Meg's Beauty and everybody else who's on here. I want to especially say hola to Ladi, who is currently in Spain on holiday, and I really hope you enjoy it, Ladi. I'm looking forward to seeing you in August in Croatia. I'm going to have an awesome time. I can't watch yet. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to describe to you a little bit of the issue that we have. And if you're a musician, if you're somebody who works at a label, if you're an artist of any kind, it's going to be interesting for you, and you might want to stick around. So the beginning of all of it is the evolving of the music industry from essentially selling CDs to streaming. What this has done for most of the artists is that it has severely reduced the royalties. People now get paid pennies by Spotify, and it's typical for an artist of a decent standing, a smaller, mid-sized indie artist, to make about $100-$200 a year from their stuff. If they have a song that works really well and they get a few million plays, they might get $1,000 or $2,000. But again, if you divide that by the amount of months that the artist actually has in a year, which is 12. It comes down to not being a job at all. So artists can really not survive from the royalties that they get from streaming services anymore. So of course they're looking towards other avenues. They're selling merchandise, they're selling hats, all this kind of stuff, and that again adds a little bit of money. So you're about at $200, $300, $400 a month now, but you still can't really live from that. And this is a situation to where one of the very old pinnacles of artists working with professionals then becomes very difficult, because it used to be that professionals that worked for artists, no matter if they're managers, marketeers, labels, whatnot, would get a percentage of their royalties, of their income. Now, if royalties are gone, what are professionals getting a percentage of? And currently that answer is nothing. And this has led to one of the biggest kind of like exodus of professionals from independent artists, as people are saying the 50% of your royalties that you get from Spotify are literally worthless. And you are not going to be able to hire a bookkeeper, a marketer, a booker, or anybody for percentage, which means that professionals are not taking artists anymore. So no matter who you are, the biggest problem as an artist at the moment, especially when you're a musical artist, is that people don't want to work for you anymore. No matter if you're a booker and you book concerts, if you're a lawyer, if you're a manager, professional service providers in the artist industry don't want to work with artists anymore, because the percentages that they used to work for, it used to be good, to say, yeah, I'm manager for this and this artist, I get 20%. doesn't sustain anybody anymore. Doesn't sustain the artist. Doesn't sustain the manager. Doesn't sustain anybody at all. Really bad. So we have a lot of artists coming to us at the time when we are interviewing them and talking to them about their music, that are saying, if you're gonna offer me pay to play, I'm not interested. And I had to ask, what does that mean? And they said, well, it means that we are paying you for your service. And as it turns out, more and more labels and music industry professionals are going the route that you have to pay them a flat fee for their services because the royalties that artists are receiving are just so small. And I'm not covering. No lawyer is going to work for you for $50 a year. They're going to be charging you $300 an hour. So small and medium artists are now faced with the difficulty that they're not finding people to sign them anymore. They're not finding people to work with them anymore. They're not finding people to do anything with them anymore because these people are saying, look, you're not really making any money. And by the way, who's making money? Spotify has released data that about 20,000 of their artists are making minimum wage on Spotify, or can actually live off of Spotify. And there's, of course, 5.5 million releasing people. So that makes it that, I don't know, about 99.5% of all the artists cannot live off of their royalties, which means that essentially no artist, that there is a very, very small group of 0.5% of all the artists, but those are usually not the people that show up at the door of a manager or lawyer, etc. Those are essentially all major label artists, and the ecosystem is a little bit different. So none of the artists, 99.5%, can live from their royalties anymore, which means that their percentages are now essentially worthless. All the contracts that you used to see, this and this label is going to take this and this much percent, and this manager is going to take this and this much percent, they're essentially worthless, as labels and managers are figuring out, hey, no matter what I do, I'm not going to get paid. So what are my colleagues doing? They're saying, oh, it's very easy. We can do a percentage-based contract, but only if you make more than $50,000 a year. Because that's kind of like $50,000 a year is what about 10,000 artists worldwide make out of 5.5 million. So that's an extremely tiny amount of people. So essentially nobody. So you will essentially not have people coming to your door if you work in the artist service industry that are artists that make more than 50 grand a year and say to you, hey, I want to work with you. I actually had a few calls with people like that, but they usually already have some kind of system in place. They have service providers, and the only reason why they would come to you is because they feel like their current provider isn't good for them, and they want to change because they think that you're better, etc. But again, this is going to take you, I don't know, as a label, it's going to take you 5 years to find one of these customers, artist that makes decent amount of money and wants to come to you for that. So before I know it's a lot to take in. So 99.9% of the artists that will come to you as a service provider will not be able to afford your services from their royalties. And seen from the artist side, 99.9% of all the artists cannot sustain themselves with royalties that they garner from their music. And at this point, the game becomes one of who can pay. Who can then still get services? So what a lot of independent artists do, of course, is they go to services like CD Baby and DistroKid, where you can get very minimalistic services for a certain amount of fixed money. You're going to pay either a yearly fee, a monthly fee, whatnot, and they're just going to send your music to various stores and do nothing else than that. That is something that you could do yourself, but due to the music industry and how it works with aggregators and everything, it's far too complicated. It's better to pay them. I used to be on CD Baby. You pay $50 flat fee to release an album and have publishing on it. A very good deal. You do it, you pay them $50 once, by the way, and they will collect forever for you. That kind of like covers distribution and publishing for you. And then artists generally hit like a firewall, because there is nobody that wants to do marketing for them. There's nobody that wants to do booking for them. There's nobody who wants to manage them. There's nobody who wants to represent them. And there's nobody who wants to do PR for them, because everybody's asking how much you're making, how many % am I getting? And the answer is 0 and 0. So at this point, services past the very bare minimum are going to have to be paid. But most artists don't have that money. And this is the problem the predicament in which we're currently sitting, that artists do require professional services, but they don't have anything to loan or to pay with anymore, because their rights are essentially worthless meanwhile. The master rights really only matter if you're a multi-million streaming artist. Other than that, it's inconsequential. It doesn't matter who owns the right to something that's worth $100. And hey, Vani, how you doing? Vani. And there we are in a situation to where more and more artists are now wanting to go the complete DIY route and do everything by themselves. And I see a lot of people doing that and a lot of people thinking about it. And this is kind of like where I am with my artists. I have some very engaged artists that want to do a lot of stuff. But as you can imagine, the reason why I have a lawyer is because he studied law. The reason why I have a marketeer is because ideally he went to school for marketing, university, whatnot. The reason why you have a manager is because, he knows the music industry, he knows music law, etc. Generally, these people are what we call experts. And this is why they have value for you as an artist. Now, you can do all these things, but it's very unlikely that you're going to be as good as an expert in all of it. At the very most, you as a human are going to be able to pick up a general understanding of how marketing works, how the legal issues of international copyright work, just a very basic, because the field's extremely big. So this again then leads them to a point to where they do a lot of things that are actually not good for them. And I talk at length to my artists about it, and they usually have a very hard time understanding what I even mean, because how can I say, it's very difficult to understand that what you're doing is wrong if you don't even know what it is that you're doing wrong. So one of the things that regularly comes up, and I'm going to discuss this today with you, is that artists nowadays are extremely interested into having their own channels. They want to have their own YouTube channel. They want to have their own Facebook page. They want to have their own Instagram account. And of course, it's understandable. On the first look, it even makes sense. Every internet personality, every socializer, every influencer has their own channels and kind of like sells their own brand. And Vani has a lot of stress at work. Vani, you shouldn't do that. But at this point, what I usually have a problem with, and now we're really getting down into it, is that a lot of people generally have a difficulty understanding the difference between a brand and a channel. I was thinking to myself, if I'm going to make this topic today called brand or channel and the difference, but I called it artists and labels. Generally, how we sell stuff as marketeers is that we engage the customer, we deploy value, and then we make the sale. These are 3 essential steps, and if you don't do them in order, you're not really gonna sell anything. So a lot of people are very, very focused on having a channel when they don't have a brand yet. What do I mean? I mean that there's a lot of bands that are completely unknown that are extremely insistent that they need to make a very large YouTube channel. They need to make some kind of channel to work. And what I tell them is, are you a look, if you're an artist, you create art, right? And they usually say yes. So do you want to be an artist, or do you want to be an art seller? It's kind of like with cars. Do you want to be a manufacturer of cars, or do you want to be a car dealership? Because those are 2 very different business models. If you want to be a car dealership, you have to be in your office at the dealership all the time and talk to all the customers who are coming in. You have to, talk to people what car they want to have in the future. And you then go and talk with manufacturer of cars and get the best cars for you and try to sell those cars. This is a channel. A channel is a place where you try to prepare the customer by deployment of content and a possibility to sell, to deploy content and to sell. And before that, engagement has to happen and branding has to happen, and a lot of artists don't do branding and don't do engagement. I see a lot of people that believe that by putting their music on Spotify, by putting their video on YouTube, anything is going to happen. But in all truthfulness, absolutely nothing is going to happen. When you put your video on YouTube and you put your music on Spotify, in 99.99999% of the cases, absolutely nothing happens. And what I mean by absolutely nothing is you have less than 10 million plays on it, because that's pretty much absolutely nothing. So people are very focused on having a car dealership, but they don't understand that they're actually the ones building the cars. They're not building their brand. They're not obsessing over the car. They're already thinking about, how can I build the car dealership? How many cars are going to be in there? What am I going to write? Because they believe that that is what will make them successful, and they are less concerned with the product and with the amount of the product. In this world that we are in now, where artists spend at least 50% of their time or 70% of their time on social media, it's weird for me to say that they should be focusing more on their music, but really they should. I have people that are great artists, but they can't tour because they don't have enough songs to play a concert. They have like half of the songs that you would need to play a concert, but they're very, very concerned about their YouTube channel. Now, if you're a great artist and you don't have enough material so that a booker, if they were to take you, could book you for a gig because you only got 5 songs, your least concern should be your sales channel. Your number one concern at the very beginning should be your product. And what I'm seeing a lot is that people are becoming less and less interested in the product and more interested in marketing, where they are, let's face it, completely incompetent. Because what are they great at? Making art, making music, making content. That's where they're great, and it's the marketing where they fail. So they focus a whole lot on marketing and very little on content creation. And thereby they create a huge problem, because they're good at content creation, they're good at being an artist, and they're bad at marketing. So they want to sell their stuff and their channel before they even have a brand or content. You should always have a brand, and that brand should know where it stands. You should, as an artist, be able to answer, what kind of music do you do? What genre is that? You should be able to say why you're doing it, who you've done it with, how many songs you have. You should be able to play a gig if somebody asks you, and you should be able to perform your songs live on a stage or on TV if given the opportunity. You would be very surprised how many artists could not perform their own music if given the chance, and come and tell me so. They say, I cannot perform this song live because I made it 3 years ago and I haven't played it a second time. I just did it on the computer. So everybody's so fucking concerned with advertising themselves that they have forgotten that they're there to make great content, and that great content is the first step to actually being successful in the artistic profession. It's not being a shitty marketer. Nobody needs yet another shitty marketer, and especially not an artist marketer. People who, I don't know. If you're going to get a heart bypass, you're going to go to a surgeon. You're not going to go to the guy that repairs your car. It's not the same thing. It's not the same profession. Stop pretending you can do it when you can't. So, and then once you have that content, once you have enough of it, once you have a lot of behind the scenes, you have covers, you have 10, 20 songs that are good, released, and you have that critical mass of content, then you need to do what? Right, still not channel. The first thing after having the content that you need is engagement. You're still not at step 2, which is creating a shop for your stuff, because you now just made the stuff and now you need to introduce people to your stuff. So you've just made certain products and now you need to introduce people to these products. You are not going to go from making the product to opening a product store. When you are a farmer and you just did your first harvest, you harvested pumpkins for the first time in your life, you're not going to build a supermarket building and become a supermarket provider, because in that supermarket is going to be what? One pumpkin that you're selling. So stop obsessing about the channels. Hey, Vaniac, how you doing? And worry about what? Engagement. Engagement, for example, is what I'm doing here. I'm talking to you about topics around the music industry that has absolutely nothing to do with what I actually do, which is to sell and monetize music. But the reason why I do this is, number one, because I like it, but number two, also because I engage people with it. The biggest engagement channels, and I want to say this, on Count Zero Records are not our artists, because they're very bad at engaging people. The biggest engagement channels on our on CCR are Record Label Boss and Max Beauty. Two streamers who play the music of the label the whole time, who talk about the label all the time, who talk about music, who talk about beauty and other stuff, and they bring more people to music than the artists do themselves. And this is an especially weird fact when you think about that a lot of our artists spend a lot of time trying to engage people. Why are they not engaging people? Because they're usually engaging the 3 F's. Friends, family, and fools. It's what we call in fundraising. They heavily work in an environment where they're constantly catering to super fans, to their family, and to the friends that they have. Which means there will be a group of 300 people that will be very engaged with the band, and they will constantly focus on these people and give these people what they want, and these people support them and say yay and whatnot, and they will work into that group like fuck, like 24/7. And you know what happens? Absolutely nothing, because the friends, family, and fool group is a group that does not grow, because you don't have an unlimited amount of cousins, grandfathers, mothers, etc. It's a group that you can work with. It's a group that will have hundreds of people, but it is a group that will never grow. It's an important group to have, but they are doing 3F marketing all of the time and trying to make a channel. And these are two of the biggest mistakes. You should be focusing on your brand, but you're focusing on your channel. You should be focusing on your fans, but you're focusing on your family and on your triple F. So you're doing the wrong thing, and you're doing it to the wrong people. And here's a question from Vaniac: how do you get an artist publicity? That is probably one of the most difficult things to do that you can possibly think of. But essentially, you have to engage people. And then when people follow you, you can direct their attention on the artist's work. So if I make a show here, record label boss, anything, DJing something, Meg does some kind of beauty show, whatnot, we can, at an opportune time, point your attention towards an artist that we think our viewers are going to enjoy. And if we do that right, you're not going to be angry about it. You're going to say, hey, these guys are actually not bad. The music that I'm hearing in the background is pretty cool. I might want to check him out. And that is because we have previously engaged you. We have previously offered a lot of content. And we are now going to our channel and saying, now why don't you check out our channel? A lot of people that follow my shows go to our YouTube channel and watch the videos from our artists, and they're like, hey, these guys are actually really good. And they don't go there because they like the artist. They don't go there because they like the music. They don't know the artist and they don't know the music. They go there because they saw a guy, and then they listened to him 2 or 3 times, and they thought, hey, this guy's really cool. I'm going to check out his shit. You know what I mean? So you first have to have a brand. For me, that brand is Count Zero Records. It's record label boss. It's my name, Avio. It's what I do here. Then you have to have engagement, which is what I'm doing with my streams. People are talking to me. People are asking questions. I am engaging people. And only then I am offering them to see some of my artist stuff. If I were to come on here and the only thing I would ever do, and a lot of artists do that, is to fucking pitch my music to people, nobody would watch this channel. Because why would you watch a channel that consists 100% of advertisement? Listen to my music, listen to my music. Hey, I got a new music out. Hey, I got a new music out. And you don't even know the name of that dude or that girl. You don't even know what kind of thing they do, and they're already selling you stuff. And Infineon Cognition asks, can I ask you something very personal? Who are you? I mean, who are you really? That's a good question. I think I'm somewhere between a saint and an insane genius, or at least that's what I'm trying to be. I recently found out that I'm somebody who more and more does only what he wants, and that is really different in this time, because a lot of people in this world mostly do what other people want them to do. Huge mistake. But I have become somebody who more and more does just only what they want to do. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. Not sure. But I am certainly a man of many hats. And this is because, to me, it was strange that record label boss became such a thing. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was ever going to be a streamer. I was going to talk to people. I was going to, I don't know, educate, let them in on a little bit on how things work. I never thought in a million years that I was going to sit here today and stream my 250th stream or something like that. And it is so weird to me, because some things just work. and some don't. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Hey, and Brother Whiskey says, Vanessa says, Brother Whiskey is the song I like the most at the moment. Yeah, and this is what I mean. You know, Vani is a great friend of the Count Zero family, and we're doing a lot of stuff together. But she came to us through, I think, Meg's Beauty Show, and she's like finding out about our artists, and we're doing things with her. We are gaining a friend. We are gaining somebody who we actually like, who we do stuff with. And in the process, they're introduced to music that they would otherwise never have listened to. There's no fucking way in hell that Vani, a beauty blogger and an economist from Switzerland, would listen to Ken Tucker's blues and rock music. It wasn't going to happen. And I'm happy that we were the ones that made the connection. We made a connection for much more, but this is an example of how effective engagement works. You need to get people's attention and then show them something that they like. Infinite Cognition says, I can dig it, a free spirit. I want to evolve into that. Don't worry about it. I did not start out as that. I started out as a very beaten young man that had to work for money and didn't have a lot of say over what he could do. I traveled the world. I did so many things. I tried to break out as good as I could. But when you're shackled or bound by poverty or lack of money, however you want to say it, there's only so many free things you can do, you know? People are always talking about freedom, and we're so free, and you're so free, and this person is free, and that person's free. When you don't have any money, you're not fucking free. Freedom for one person can be very different than freedom for another person, and you can be unfree in a free society, absolutely. There's a lot of people that are not free, even though society in certain parts of the world is free. So achieving my personal freedom was something that took me quite a long time. It was not easy, and I certainly didn't start out with it. I literally always had to do something for a very, very long time because I just didn't have a choice on doing it. And Fort Walton says, it's wild how we can stumble across amazing stuff. Any good tips? My best tip is to go to our YouTube channel, Count Zero Records YouTube channel. There's a lot of different genres and a lot of different people there, and they're all pretty damn good. So depending on what you like, I curate all of it. Of course, I'm signing the people. There isn't anybody I don't like, otherwise I wouldn't sign them. So depending on what your genres are, you'll find something that should be something that you like. So Count Zero Records YouTube channel, because it doesn't cost any money and you can see some music videos. So usually people kind of like connect with either one band or another, you know. And it depends if you like, you know, Viking metal or EDM. It's we're not one of the labels to where it's like all Brazilian bass. You know what I mean? Vaniac says, lol, when you're broke, you gotta find the fun in little things that are free. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, I did what I could. I took whatever freedom I could. Fort Walton says, personally, I think there's a lot of things that are free anymore. Lol, the true marketer. Yeah. Well, what am I gonna say? I have been talking, Fort Walton. I've been talking so much about discovery and how it used to be Napster for me, because I was young, I didn't have any money, so I downloaded all kinds of music on Napster, and this is where I discovered a lot of shit that I would otherwise never have had access to because I was not rich. I wasn't able to afford all of this shit. And I downloaded it, and I was like, oh, there's classical music, and oh, there's like rap music, and there's these people with guitars, and then there's these people with weird folk music. And that to me was true discovery. What happens now on Spotify, to where they're fucking spoon feeding you their idiotic commercialized playlists, that's not discovery. That's 100% commercialized. Everybody listens to the same crap. Maniacs says true. I do a lot of outdoor stuff where you usually don't cost a lot of money. Yeah, what I did when I was young, I did a lot of traveling because I was always somebody who enjoyed networking and talking to people. And so I got to know people from kind of like around the world. And then I said to them, hey, if you ever want to come and visit me in my country, I'll house you, I'll feed you, and I'll show you around. It's going to be fun. And they usually extended the same invitation. And so I had the ability to travel to, I don't know, 10 different countries while I was still at university, meeting people that I met online, essentially, in a community of students, and just going there, eating fast food in their city, and just doing cheap stuff in their city because they didn't have any money either. But the point is that usually when you do cheap stuff, you kind of like do what a lot of people there do also. So you get a really authentic experience. I mean, if you go somewhere to a place and then you're spending 30 grand for a room or something, what kind of experience is that, you know? I went to a Hungarian university. I slept in a tiny room and I did what the Hungarian students did. And it was excellent. And I did the same thing with all kinds of people in all kinds of places. And it was always an authentic experience, and it was always free. I went there with either a bus or the train, whatever I could afford. I didn't have a car. So Fort Walton says he went to New Orleans after Mardi Gras. Outstanding. That would be awesome. I would want to go there one day. Fuck spoon feeding. That's right. Fort Walton says, when I was young, I'm old enough now. Life was like before the internet. There was the library. That's right. So much free music of all kind. Yeah. That's the annoying part, that the trip costs money, but the street musicians were world class. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff still today that you can do for free. And Harry Black is back. Hey, Harry. I think sometimes artists take too long trying to make a finished product rather than putting out what they have done as a demo. Yeah, we've been Greyhound bus cheap. Yeah. Yeah, I did, for decades, I did things how I could. That's the best how I can describe it. And then when people say, yeah, how much freedom and liberty do you have at this moment? You're like, I don't know. I don't know how much freedom and liberty I got, but it's not a whole lot. And so, yeah, to finish this line of thought, I definitely became more free as I got older because I have more now. And but I worked for it. And now I'm like, yeah, fuck you, you know. I take very little regard for people that I used to treat very respectful before when I was younger, and I'm now like, you know, screw you. People don't want to work with me. I really don't give a crap. People annoy me. I don't give a crap. You know, if sometimes I'd go to a business meeting, I sit there, and people be like talking around, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this cooperation and this cooperation. And I usually say something like, people, I think you have a good product, but if you ever fuck with me, I am going to fuck back, and I'm never going to do business with you again. So if you lie to me, if you steal, if you cheat, or if you betray me in any possible way, shape, or form, the first time, I am Audi 5000. So so I'm telling you, don't be an asshole, and we'll make business together just fine. You know, there's like a bunch of people with suits on that table, and they're like, what did he just say? I'm like, yeah, I don't need this shit anymore. I don't need to sit here for 2 hours and talk around in beautiful words. I don't have time for that because I don't want to. I want to go home and sit in my pool, you know? But that is the freedom that you have later on. Freedom to eat under 1990. There's monetary freedom, but there's also knowledge freedom. I worship the latter. Yeah, that's what I did first. I come from a family of wartime refugees, and for me and us, the way to liberate yourself was through education. It was not through money. We were pretty much the poorest people wherever we went. So what my ancestors correctly determined was that their children need to learn something. And in my family, I was the first person to graduate university. And the generations before that, every generation had more education than the generation before. And they always said, the only way for us to improve ourselves is through education. And that's what we did. My grandmother went to very basic school, primary school, you call it. The next generation went to secondary school. And then, like, a little bit after that, so grandmother, blah, how was that? Yeah, there was a little bit more. So every generation kind of like upgraded. And then, it came down to me, and I'm kind of like annoyingly slowly doing my PhD at the moment. But I don't need to. I just do it for fun. And Vaniac says, I noticed that people who live outside the U.S. travel abroad more. Yeah, it's. I'm a European, and it's very, very normal for us to travel all of the time. I cannot imagine how it would be to not have a passport. We recently had a thing to where a family member was going to visit us, but then they couldn't because they didn't have a passport, and there were some legal issues regarding her getting a passport. And I'm like, who the fuck does not have a passport? I don't even know if you look at my traveling itinerary, I don't know, I'm in a different country like every week, and usually in multiples. Even when I worked, I was in the company where I worked. I was responsible for Eastern Europe, and I visited 18 different countries in 7 years, and had projects there. So for us, it's very normal to have contact with cultures that are different, because they're just across the border. The Hungarian Martian rumor, says Ford. I don't know what that is. I couldn't be telling you. And Vani says, I can't wait to get a 9 June and get some personal freedom back. Can't anymore. They try to screw me on a daily basis. Yeah. Ivani's got 2 passports. I got 2 passports too. I'm a dual citizen as well. And that also gave me some perspective, Being a dual citizen means that you're a foreigner wherever you go. Because when you go to your mother's country, they say, oh, you're from the other country. And when you go to that country, they say you're from that country. So I'm like literally a foreigner everywhere. When people say to me, hey, how is it that you're a foreigner everywhere? Is that a problem? I say, you know what? There's 200 countries in the world, and in 199 you're a foreigner. So it doesn't matter if it's 200 instead of 199. Is your headset dirty or old? My headset is actually well used, and for some reason the gray fabric that's on it is starting to have some discoloration, but I think it's because I'm doing 150 shows a year, 3 hours each, and sweating into them. So I'm replacing my pads, headset pads, like every year or so, and then I'm putting new ones on. And Decent says he's from Ireland. Excellent. One of our wonderful artists is from Ireland. It's actually, his name is Matt Reed. He's had a number 15 on the Apple charts. It was, I think it was Silver Waterfall, or it was the album Rise Above. I don't know. He's a really great dude. Really great musician. And I said to him, Matt, I'm going to come and make a music video with you as soon as this fucking COVID shit is over. So we're going to see. And Ford says, the physicists that came from Hungary in the 20th century basically changed the world. The rumor is that they were actually aliens because they were so, physicists, so advanced. No, it's because technology and technological sciences in STEM, they call them now, has always been a big thing in Eastern Europe, and still to this day is. It's kind of like a community of engineers that is unknown to many because they're mostly focused on Germany, etc. But if you go to countries like Croatia and others, you'll see what a huge focus STEM sciences have in these countries. And again, if you're if you're looking at Nikola Tesla and others, there's a lot of physicists and people in and around these fields that come from Eastern Europe. It's just that a lot of people don't know. So, and of course, the extremely advanced thing was because mostly pre-World War II, the US wasn't very advanced in technology at all. So it was actually not very difficult to impress them, because to them, everything that came from Europe was like, wow. You know, I always say the Americans were the biggest benefiters of World War II because first they got all the Jews that fled the Nazis, and then they got all the Nazis that fled the Soviets, and then they got all the Soviets that fled the Soviets. Scientists, I mean. So before the 40s, US was like a backwater place where they hardly had much going on. And then all of a sudden, World War II comes around, and every side, kind of like the scientists, went to the States. And many times for the people that were there, what came from Europe was miraculous. I mean, the people that the Me-262, the first jet airplane made by the Germans, that technology astounded the Americans, and they took the scientists, and that's what founded NASA. So it was alien in a way that, I don't know, the same way that when the Spaniards came with big ships to the Mayas and Aztecs in South America, and they were like, wow, these dudes they must be gods. They know so much shit. How can this be? Pretty much the same way. So, yeah. No, I mean, Ford says we would be nothing without the brain drain. And the point was that it's not America's fault. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't steal anybody. They merely said to the people, if you want to come to us, we're going to take care of you. And people said, yeah, I'm going to do that. So that is not illegal, and that is not horrible. That is not unethical. I think it's one of the least unethical things that the U.S. has done, just offering scientists shelter. I mean, there's the obvious thing that they have, you took in all the Nazi scientists, and why would you do that? I don't know. I would have done it. There's things that are more important than torturing a few scientists, And a lot of these people, in truth be told, didn't give a shit about anything. They would happily research for the Nazis, the Americans, the Soviets, or whoever. A lot of these people were extremely driven about what they did, and they had zero morality for anything. However you want to say, however you want to, put that. But yeah, so this was the little excursus on freedom, and this freedom that we're looking now in the connection in the music industry, sorry, between artists and their service providers, really, I think that people are too quickly in trying to sell their stuff nowadays. I was the same way too, by the way. When you start with marketing, the idea that you have and what you believe is that marketing consists of yelling at people the name of your product. So the first time you see somebody, you yell your product at them. You're like, hello, I'm Frank. Buy my burgers, buy my burgers, buy my burgers. But I can guarantee you that in the internet age, nobody wants to see that guy a second time. So if you're that guy that focuses obsessively over their channels, and my YouTube channel is growing and my Instagram channel is growing, before you have a consistent brand and before you know how you're engaging people, you're not, and this is another secret. Oh my God, a secret. You're not engaging people on your sales channel. I'm going to say it again. You're not engaging people on your sales channel. People come to your sales channel by being previously engaged and then being fed content. You know? So people that don't even have content, they don't even have engagement, and they're like, oh, we got to set up this sales channel and things are going to be smacking for me. No, absolutely nothing is going to smack, and it's super unimportant. And this is what I get from artists a lot. They say the most important thing for me as a band is to build our YouTube channel. And I say, really? This is the most important thing? Your YouTube and your Instagram channels? I don't know. I would have said something like, the most important thing for me as an artist are my fans. Or the most important thing for me as an artist is my music. I would totally like to hear that, and not the other stuff. But so I don't know. I have a lot of artists who are very, very concerned with how to run their channels, because I don't know why. Maybe you can tell me why. Why does everybody give so much of a fuck about their channels? And then they have these channels where there's like 20 people on it. And they're obsessing over it. Yeah, if I make another video, then there will be 22 people on it. And usually what I like to tell people is, make a full album. Know how to perform. Let me book some minor performances for you. Let's make some videos. Take care of your content, and then go on a high engagement platform and engage your fans. Before you start whining about people following you on your channels and about building your channel, have fans. If you don't engage anybody, how is anybody going to follow you? The idea that just putting up the content or the product, people are going to follow you magically. They're going to magically appear and follow you. I mean, maybe if you're going on TikTok and you're a young girl and you're dancing, but do you know how many dancing young girls there are on TikTok? People underestimate how many people try to make it on TikTok and how many people actually do make it, and then how much money these people get for it. There's a huge disparity on that one as well. Okay, something back to the other thing was like Ford said, in that way America was the marketer or the producer. That's right. But you need material. It's like having wheels without a car, yeah? I think people want clout. That's exactly it. They should merely be a side effect. And this is it. People want clout. People want to say, I have X followers, I have X likes. When they should be worried about their product and not about, and this is something I talk to people also, about pleasing fans. Because I have artists that very intensively work with their core audience of about 3,000 fans. And they do everything for these fans. And they're saying, yeah, we're going to do this for the fans, and then we're going to do that for the fans, and we're going to do that for the fans, and we're going to do that for the fans. And I said to them, stop doing that. And they said, why? You always say to us to engage our fans. And I said, yeah. But, hold on, I have to. I'm going to have to look up something on Google to make my point. Okay. The world has 8 billion people. And you're talking to 7 billion 999,999,999,999 of them not. Out of the 8 billion people in the world, you're talking to 3,000. And you're asking yourself, why am I not growing? It's very fucking obvious, isn't it? Because you're not talking to all the people that don't know you. The only time when you should be spending 70 to 90% of your time with your existing fan base is when you have millions of fans. If you're a young and new artist, your focus should be the 8 billion people of this world and how you can engage them. What can you do to talk to them? What can you do to have a chat with them, to find out what they like, to kind of like relate to them in any possible way? And what I see in artists is that they mistake marketing their channel for engagement. This is a little bit less obvious, but I'm going to say it again, and it's actually what a lot of people have as their main problem. Marketing your social media channel is not engagement. Marketing your social media channel is essentially talking to the 3,000 people that are already on your social media channel, plus the 10 people that get on it new. You should be talking to everybody else who's not on the channel. And then they're saying to me, but if they're not on the channel, how can I talk to them? And then they finally understand marketing. This is the central point of marketing for anybody, including artists. How can I talk to people that don't know me? Today I talked to an artist and he said to me, when people are looking for our name, they're mostly coming to our channel. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, not to yours. And I was like, yeah. And he said, to your channel, mostly random people come. And I said, yep. And he said, so our marketing works better. And I said, no. Because in order to search for the band's name, you have to know the band's name. And you have to know that the band already exists. And we're not talking about these people. We're talking about the people that you need to engage that don't know that you exist. The people that are random. The people that have never heard of your existence before, that don't know that you're selling a product. These are the people that you're marketing to. These are the people that you're talking to. And this is something, my dear friends and listeners, that I have so far not been able to communicate effectively to my bands. They just don't get it. They believe that blowing stuff into their social media channels is going to make them, into their classic social media channels, is going to make them engage fans. But they're not. They're just engaging the same people over and over again. They're staying at the same amount of fan base. They're staying at the same amount of people, just picking up a person here and there. And then they say, yeah, well, what can I do, you know? I say, do TikTok. Okay, so they do TikTok and they start developing a brand, and it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, well, did you look into how branding on TikTok works? Branding on TikTok works very, very different than branding on Reddit. The people that use TikTok and the people that use Reddit are pretty much nothing alike. So if you're doing the same things you're doing on YouTube, you're doing on Reddit, you're doing on TikTok, you're not going to be successful anywhere. And of course, nobody's on Reddit. And I always say to them, you know, Reddit is probably the highest engagement platform that you can possibly have, where you don't have to pay anything, and literally hundreds and thousands of people will see you and follow you. And they're like, yeah, I don't know that. The end. Why? Because artists market on channels that already have clout. They're not obsessed with getting to people and maybe to go on a new service because it has high engagement rates. They're obsessed with clout. And this is the huge problem. They want to market in channels that are already huge. They want to work with platforms that are already huge because it gives a lot of clout. I have 1 million plays on YouTube. That's what they want to say. They don't want to say, I have 1 million views on Reddit. Why? Because it doesn't sound good. But this is where you get your people. And there's the difference between effective marketing and clout chasing. So people are trying to build their channels, which they shouldn't. They should build brand first, mostly for clout chasing and for saying, you know, look, my video has only 3,000 views, and the video that you posted has 30,000 views. But on my channel, there's the same 300 people that watch it over and over again. So it's much better because they really like me. And I say, no, that's because it's your grandma and your friends. And the 8 billion people in the world are still out there waiting for your stuff. All right, we got to read a bit. You can never underestimate the power of pretty girls, but I can't imagine it's all that awesome. No, it's not. I know some of these pretty girls, and they all have a shelf life because there's a very large supply of pretty girls in the world, and the fewest of them transit into anything meaningful artistically. Most of them never are correctly advised to build up their own artistic brand. Instead, they're mostly taken advantage of by their parents, their contractors, managers, etc. And then when the girl is not popular anymore, the whole conga train moves on and they just find another girl. And when people like I go to people like that and say, look, I would manage you, and they're like, lol, you're not universal. I'm like, that's right, I'm not universal. Okay, yeah, no, I'm 100% not going to sign with any. I've seen so many people rise and fall because they could not believe that once they had risen, they could or would fall, that it would take effort to stay on top, that it would be difficult, that people wouldn't give a shit about them. So I can't even tell you how many people I contacted at the time when they hit their 10 minutes of fame, and they blew me off like everybody else because they only wanted what? The biggest channel, the biggest name, the most likes. So they signed a very shitty deal with a huge label, and after 2 years, when they were not popular anymore, the label ditched them, and that was it. Boom. And now they're selling burgers at McDonald's when they could have had a career. Why? Because they're chasing the biggest channel, they're chasing the biggest clout, and they're not caring about their product and their brand. And this is the tragedy. You need to focus on your brand and on your product, and not care about your clout chasing channels and how many likes and plays, etc. you have. That will come on its own eventually. I had a guy who was so good, and I was like, yeah, come, I could do something with you. And he's like, nah, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. He was going to do everything by himself. And just the next song was only half the place. The next song was only half the place. And it took less than it took about a year for him to go from viral hit to nobody. And I was like, okay, you were going to do it all because you don't trust anybody. I mean, I get it. I get it. It's difficult to trust people in the entertainment industry. Ask me, I know. I kind of like anybody working there, but so very difficult. Now, that's an interesting question. How do you find out what people like? By numbers. I've talked extensively to my people about marketing by numbers, and I've had some people that were not very happy with my opinions. I've had some very interesting run-ins. I'm going to repeat the point again, and if the person that was very unhappy with me last time I said it, please forgive me. I'm not saying it because of you. One of the first things that my professor in marketing said to me, and to the 100 other people that were there at that time, when I started at a university in the 90s, he said, don't play customer. Don't pretend to be a customer. Don't play customer. Don't assume that what you like, customers like. Just completely forget your own opinion about what people like. You know nothing about it. You are not representative. your opinion is not qualified and your opinion is not asked. Do not play customer. And then people were like, yeah, but we thought we were going to use our ideas. And then we're going to, because I like more ketchup on the burger and I like more French fries and I like more sauce on my sausage and I like this and I like that. And he said, that's exactly the reason why this is not marketing. And then people said, what's marketing? Then came a very long answer. But to make things short, you find out what people like by counting what people like and presenting them with all options. People call it shotgun. People call it throw it on the wall and see what sticks. But what marketing really does, and what I do in marketing every day, is I advertise 10 songs, music videos, with 3 to 4 different creatives for every video. And then I run about $100 in them or something per. And then I check the numbers. And very quickly, you will see an image developing. You will see a lot of people from a certain geographic area like this kind of music. A lot of people on a certain demographic like this kind of music. A lot of people like this. More people like this than people like this. This video has 80% response. 90% of the people that watched that music video as an ad, and that was the best performer, by the way. 90% of the people that watched the music video as an ad then continued on to watch it. Holy fucking crap. Which means that out of 10 people that saw the music video ad, 9 chose to stay with the music video because it was so fucking good. And then I have another music video where only one of them stays. And that tells you a lot. So from advertising in a very broad manner, by giving the customer the option to consume everything at his leisure, you're receiving important data on your next tier of marketing. So armed with the data from your first try, you go and you make another try and you get better data. And then you do a third, a fourth, etc. And at the end of the time, you arrive with an understanding of what people like and who likes what. I found that certain artists have less of a public response, but the people that respond to them become more dedicated. This is typically niche artists. We have a country artist, country blues artist, Ken Tucker, and his general appeal to the public is a little bit less than the things that are currently modern, but his retainment rates are significantly higher, meaning that less people like blues than EDM, but the people that like blues like Ken more than the average person. So there you can take your ideas from it. So you'll get a wealth of data, and based on that data, you're going to form your opinion, you're going to do your marketing. You are never going to do what artists think is marketing, which is, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to see how many likes I get. Or I'm going to do that video, I'm going to see how many likes I get. I'm going to do this. Why? Because when you post something on your channel, only the people that are already on your channel are going to fucking see it. And it's completely fucking useless. You don't want to convince the people that are already on your channel to join your channel. You want to find new people. You want to find people that are not on your channel to join your channel. And how are you going to do that other than with advertisement? We don't need advertisement. We don't do advertisement. That costs money. I'm like, yeah, sure. How are you going to engage people? I mean, of course, you don't have to do advertisement. You can come to Reddit and stream. You can go to TikTok and stream. You can do a lot. So then you still don't know what people like. You know what their preferences are. And then you whittle it down. And then you do a woman on the cover, a man on the cover, a older, a younger. And you get to the point to where you get a pretty clear idea of what the demographic for this artist is. And then you're just fucking hammering it. And when you know it's white, male, 30 to 50, lower income, English speaking, East Coast, middle USA, whatnot. And then you have a demographic, and then you can hammer that demographic because there's millions of these people. And then you're advertising to the people that are most likely to be receptive to your product. And of course, only a small part of them will like it, but you're advertising to the most likely group. And this is what it is. You're marketing always to the most likely group because you never know what people truly like. Because you could have two truck drivers that are completely the same. They both live in Indiana. They both are white. They both are 45. They both are lower income. They both like country music. And one of them would love your artist and the other one would hate him. Because they're, after all, they're individuals. So you're not going to be able to determine what every single person likes, but you're going to be able to determine what the groups of people are that are most likely to like your music. And very unsurprisingly, I know what the groups are for me. And very unsurprisingly, this is where I have my chart hits and where my things work well. And I know my demographic. I know how to advertise it. And it's not a problem for me to have as much clout on any video as I want to have, or I could for me as an artist, which is kind of like a hobby, but still. But this requires a lot more than obsessively spamming into your own YouTube channel, because that doesn't really do anything. It's kind of like you're shitting into a bucket, and then you're shitting into the bucket again, and you're shitting into the bucket again. The point is that if you just shit in a bucket, there's just going to be shit in the bucket. Nobody's going to be interested in shit in a bucket. The point is that... Okay, another thing. I'm always saying the point is that. That's so weird. People say, yeah, well, every artist has their own YouTube channel. And this artist has their own YouTube channel. And I say, yeah, it's true. But they're all owned by the label. Because a lot of artists believe that their YouTube channel, and it's really YouTube, is really, really important to them because eventually they somehow need to grow that YouTube channel and they're somehow going to make money from it. What they don't understand is that they're 3 steps away from that ever happening because they don't have a brand, they don't have a product, and they don't have engagement. But they're very determined that they know what's right. So all in all, where's the music industry going? Where are artists and labels going? I think that in the future, labels and music industry professionals are going to be more needed than ever. They're going to be fewer than ever. There are going to be almost no artists that will be able to afford it. And I think the whole entire thing is going towards a DIY culture to where artists will have to spend 10%, to where artists typically spend a very small amount on their actual art and a very large amount on social media, which they mistake for marketing. Being on social media does not mean you're marketing your product. It just means you're on there and you're wasting time. Why? Because you're not doing the right things. Why? Mostly because you're stewing in your own soup. You're talking to the people that already love you and you're not engaging new people. How many people have I engaged today? 2, 3, 4, 10? I have a lot of people on the channel here, like Vani and Yomi. Arby! Hey, there's an early morning pop-up stream, experimental mixing guy. I'm going to do that more often, Arby. You just watch it. I'm cooking it up. I'm going to be eating that fried chicken with you soon. It's going to be fried chicken and watermelon. But yeah, so I got a lot of people like Arby, like Yo-Yo, like Vanessa. Even Harry's been here a while. Meg, Mike, Lottie, a whole bunch of people that are always with me, who are my friends, who do a lot of stuff with me. But of course, I'm also on here on Reddit, where a lot of people that talk to me for the first time engage. And out of the 10 people that talk to me, maybe one person joins us on the Discord server. That's countzerorecords.com/Discord. And I don't know, permanently connects with other, or follows me on Reddit or whatnot. You don't even have to say that. You don't even have to say, follow me on Reddit. People that like your shit will follow you anyway. So you don't have to always say it. But I foresee a lot of artists doing everything by themselves, including marketing, and being very inefficient and incapable in it. I don't know where that is going to lead to, but I know where it's going to lead for us. It's going to lead to a situation to where most artists will not be able to afford our services going forward anymore, because they're not making enough money, and they just don't have anything to compensate somebody with. They're going into the grocery store with no money. And if you're going into the grocery store and you have no money, you'll come out with no products. And this is what's going to happen to most of the artists. They will have absolutely no money. And I think that over the next 10 to 20 years, the amount of artists is going to decrease, as people find out that being an artist is something that you can hardly make money with anymore. And there's a lot of other professions where you can make a decent amount of money and have a great living and then just be an artist on the side. And I think this whole artist on the side thing is going to be a huge thing. And there's going to be a lot of people who are like hobby artists. And these people will make money in their regular day job so that they can pay professionals to pursue their dream goal of being an artist on the side. But they're going to have to pay these professionals, because most of them are never going to make it anywhere, because they're not dedicated enough and they're not good enough to make it as a as a full-scale artist, if you know what I mean. So I think the if you're going to be cooking, then you need a chef hat. What? Yeah. I'm still waiting. Arby and I have this agreement to where we're going to eat fried chicken together and eat watermelon. It's going to be great. So either when I come to America, I'm not sure when that's going to happen, or when he comes to Europe, that's going to happen. And Arby, by the way, and this not a joke. This is not a joke. I've been working a lot on my fried chicken game, and I've been able to significantly improve the quality of my fried chicken over the last year or so. So inflation too, if people can't afford it, they just can't. That's right. So I think fewer and fewer people will be able to afford to be an artist. Just simply afford to be an artist. No money from Spotify, no money from anywhere. All the music is free. And the 2 hats that they're selling every month is not going to pay their bill. And they don't have any gigs because they don't have enough audience. And what a lot of people don't understand, and I want to talk about that too, it's really important. Up to 75% of all the money comes from performances for artists. Artists that actually full-time artists, around 75% of their income is from performances. But you can only do that if there's enough people in any geographic area to actually fill any kind of venue. which means that if you have 10,000 fans worldwide as an artist, and those fans are in 200 countries, you have 100 fans in every country. There's 5 cities in every country, which means there's 20 fans in every city. And out of those, 10% will come to your show, which is 2. A lot of people underestimate that the game of performing is still a game of physical presence. And it's going to be a very long time for many artists before they can sell out a venue with 500 tickets because of them. You know, it could be that it's a venue and it's sold out because it's Hot Wings night. I would totally go. But because of them. So a lot of people are coming to me and they're like, yeah, we got like 30,000 fans. We got like 3,000 fans. I'm like, okay, where are they? They're here. And then I make I ask around for their tour. Who would come to a concert in this city? 5 people. Who would come to a concert in this city? 15 people. Who would come to a concert in this city? 20 people. And I know I need 100 or it's not going to happen. So even if you have what you perceive to be a lot of fans, you're going to need a localized fan base that actually comes up to your show. And this is usually a lot bigger than you think. And those are usually exclusively people that have more than 10 million plays. So I think that in the future, any artist that has less than 10 million plays is not going to be a sustainable artist and will only be able to be an artist if they are paying the entire bill. And this is what I see labels going towards, and this is what we're considering, which means that we're going to probably put people in 2 kind of like pots and say, these are the people that are actual artists, and these are the people that we count as like amateur artists. These are the people to where, you know, their music pays their way, and these are the people to where their day job pays their way. And it's going to be, out of the 5.5 million musicians, it's going to be 5.4999 where the day job is going to pay their way. And this is, I think, what it's going to be in the very future. And Arby says, cool, you can open RLB Fried Chicken and get all the money there. Yeah. Boss Chicken. At least I like fried chicken, you know? I've always thought about opening a restaurant, but if you know my history, then you know why. And it's because our family's been kind of like a restaurant family too. And everybody in my family has said, no matter what we do, we will absolutely 100% never open a restaurant ever again. Because it's such a shitty business, you know? I could see myself doing kind of like, I was considering doing a KFC or a Taco Bell or so franchise. But then again, if you want your franchise to work really well, you got to be in there day and night for the first 5 years. And I really don't feel like, you know, being around fried chicken for 5 years straight. So I'm not sure about that. And Arby says, true, but I value live shows and willing to take the risk. But that's me. Yeah. Rösti dann bei Avi. Avi's Rösti. Hi, Arby. I've heard you were awake the other day in the morning. Yeah. It's a secret project. Nobody can know. So, yeah. These were my insights for today. It was a little bit inconsistent. It makes total sense to me. And I think that artists in the future we're going to have to juggle a lot more things than they ever did before, as labels and other service providers are going to care less and less about their stories of long-term investment into the artist, because matter of fact is if you're not on this side of the pool to where your music pays your way, and you're on this side of the pool to where your job pays your way, chances that you're going to make it are going to be exorbitantly small. And I'm talking about like 4 or 5 people out of this entire pool of 5.5 million that will make it. Your chance is going to be 1 in a million of making it if you're in that pool of, I work a job and this is what pays my artistic career. And it's going to be incredibly difficult to go from here to where your job pays your artistry to here to where your artistry pays your living. That has just become incredibly much harder because royalty payments have gone to shit. It used to be not like that. You used to receive decent royalties. Not anymore. Streaming has completely ruined that. And I don't think that there's ever been a time when so much creativity was ended and so many people had to leave being a creative as it was now, as the streaming has done to people. Streaming has been an absolute devastation. And people like Spotify are leading the charge of the end of diverse music. It's extremely sad, but the longer I work in here, the more I understand that diversity in music is going to become less and less because of streaming and because of people like Spotify. It's very sad, but you're gonna have a very hard time doing anything if you're not 100% cookie cutter what the industry wants right now at this very second, and if you're not already fully paid and everything. Really difficult. That was having fun. Hey Kai, how you doing? So on a sad note, I think that the music industry is just developing in the wrong direction. Same with Netflix and movie franchises. Yeah. I don't know enough about that industry to really talk about it, but I imagine it would be the same. I think if I had a film production company, I would be very distressed at the moment because people like Netflix and Disney and others are completely dominating the market. And what can you nowadays do as an independent movie maker? I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about the movie industry to say, but in terms of music, I cannot give you any positive assessment that says, I can say something positive. It's never been as easy to become a musician as it is now. Absolutely true. You can get computer software extremely cheap. You can get a computer extremely cheap. You can produce your own music. You can distribute and publish your music. If you just want to be creative, this is absolutely the best time to live in. If you want to be creative and you don't care about the money or the success or if anybody listens to you, this is without a doubt the best time to ever live, because you can do things that just when I was young people couldn't even dream about. in terms of making music, the technology we have now, it's just fucking amazing. It used to take a studio of extreme amount of cost to do the things that you can now do on a laptop. You used to have a $300,000 studio to make music that you can now make on your laptop, and people will not know the fucking difference. Some producers and audio engineers will know the difference, but they're not your fucking target. Your target is the normal doofus, and he will not know the difference. And people are always like, yeah, I can hear, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, you can hear. Every time when it's really about mixing, when it's really about finding out stuff, I'm putting people in the studio. I'm like, okay, let's hear what's wrong with this, and they can't hear anything for shit, Most people are just fucking imagining it. So you can make on your computer anything that you want. You can make a number one hit on your computer. If you ever wanted to be creative, just for that reason, it's never been as easy as it is now. But in terms of being an artist, wow. I think it's the worst time to be an artist, like, ever. Like, you can literally not make money. The industry has made it to where nobody but the biggest companies are making money from this industry. They have successfully completely monopolized an entire industry and split it up between 2 or 3 or 4 of them. And I don't even know how that would change. I see no technology. I see no law. I see no mechanism of business that would end the monopoly. Actually, it's a oligopoly. Don't even know what that is called in English. In German, it's called oligopol, but in English, it's probably called oligopoly. It's when you have various actors, not one like in a monopoly. So you have 5 guys that dominate the entire industry, and nothing else can survive, And I don't know. Oligarchy is another thing when you have just a few actors, but they are fraudulent / supported by the government / unethical actors. Oligopoly, yeah. How would I say? Oligopoly. Oli fucking poly. Roly-poly. And Decent says mainstream music is so garbage now. Yeah, because it's the same producers producing everybody. It's the same people writing the music. It's the same people producing the music. It's gotten so bad. And you know what? Another fucking secret. The guys and girls that write all the music for all the people that are on Billboard right now are also not getting fucking paid. It is so fucking sad. I know a lot of songwriters, and I know what they're getting paid, and it is shit. I know people who got $3,000 for a number one hit. It is fucking shameful, it is disgusting, and it is horrible. But if you think that the people making all of this music that you don't like are getting paid, you're again wrong. They're paying them nothing. They're completely stiffing them. And they're getting the scraps just like artists and anybody else. The people who are getting paid, there's only one group of people who are getting paid. And it's mostly the managers and owners of the very large tech and music companies. And that's pretty much it. They're not paying the guys that make number one music top dollar. Not anymore, because they say, look, we here at this label, we have 30 of the top 100 Billboard artists. So either you work with us for a very low price and have good repute, or you just leave. You just don't pay anybody. So I know somebody who made a number one hit, who actually made 3 number one hits for a very well-known name artist, and she got $3,000 for every number one hit. And the guy never even called her and said thank you or offered compensation or anything. Quite to the contrary, he actually made sure that she wasn't recognized for writing the music for him, because he says he writes all of his music himself. So not only are these people getting the shaft in terms of payment, but they're also getting the shaft in terms of that they're not even allowed to say that they made the music. They're usually signing NDA. They're usually signing an agreement that they can't say that they wrote it. If you know how to look it up, you can still see it, but most fans don't know how to look up who the songwriter of something is. So I was shocked when I talked to the songwriter of that artist and how she was treated. And that artist made about $1 million for every number one hit he had over the years. It wasn't like 3 hits close to back to back or anything like that. So he made $3 million with the songs she wrote, and he paid her like now 0.1%. Yeah, something like that. 0.1% or 0.01% or something like that. I was shocked, and I I talked to her. I said, "Can you write a song for me?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "How much is it gonna be?" And she said, "Half the price is for the bad word." So a lot of people don't know, but if you have money, by the way, guys, if you have money, if you have $2,000, you can get a song written by somebody who has like 10 number one songs. A lot of people don't know this, but it's really true. So, consider that. Somebody will write a song for you. It's not a guarantee or anything, but it probably will be a pretty good song. So your money in music goes a long way, because put the hat back on. Okay, Fast says barriers to enter are high, but it's not a monopoly. It is dominant. Yep. Ali Gapali. And Fast says, I'm shocked to hear this, but I'm not surprised. Thanks for breaking that down to better understand. That's a lot. Do you still write music? Yeah, I still do. I write all of my own music. But I do want to work with the woman that wrote the 3 number one hits for this person. Maybe one day I'll muster the money and I'll have her write some of my songs. Now the cat's up here. But I was representing... What the fuck was I representing? I was representing labels, and I got into a meeting where there was people representing songwriters. And they were like, yeah, don't leave. Let some of the label guys be in here, and then you can hear how bad we have it and everything. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And there was all of these songwriters and the songwriters' representation, and it was an international board. It wasn't some shitty place. It was like people on the stage that like every one of these fuckers had like a few number one hits. These people made labels make millions, and then they're starting to talk, and I didn't know this before. And they're like, yeah, my label made $10 million and the artist made $3 million and they paid me $5,000. And again and again, it just fucking keep going. And it's always the same story. The big company made a very, very large amount of money. The artist made a very, very large amount of money with it too. And the writers of the songs were essentially told to keep it quiet and don't tell anybody that they wrote the song, because it would kind of like take away from the glory of the artist, and they wouldn't want anybody to know that that they didn't even make that song. So it was... And then I gradually found out that it's essentially everybody. Talk to anybody. Talk to studio producers. Talk to audio engineers. Talk how much they're getting paid. And all of a sudden you're realizing nobody's getting fucking paid. Who is getting paid? And I was like, always, who is getting paid here? And at the end of the day, I only found 2 things who's getting paid. And it's mostly the big companies and the very big artists. The artists that are so big that they can negotiate their own contracts because they have so much power, or that have their own labels that do it, and they're kind of like associated with distribution from a major or something. But at the end of the day, you start understanding that the entire industry, the money trickles down to a very small amount of people. It's kind of like Amazon and Tesla and SpaceX and all this kind of shit, where no, it's actually worse. It's kind of like Amazon. You start to find out that there's hardly anybody who's getting paid decently in the music industry, and that most people are actually in it because they like it. And hold on, the cat. Go. Somebody's on equipment they shouldn't be on. And that a surprisingly small amount of people are taking essentially all of the money. And then you're like, yeah, now I know how Daniel Ek got $3 billion. Now I know how this guy on the board got XYZ billion dollars, because they make sure that everything funnels up. And the music industry is pretty much as a lot of the economies are in America, trickle up economies. Everything trickles up to the biggest guy at the end. Nothing is left down. Everything trickles up. And there it stays. Hardly anybody gets anything other than a very, very small amount of people and companies. And this is what it is. And that's why I call the music industry, but also some other industries, I would call them trickle-up economies. Because really, nobody's getting anything. And I know a lot of people that work in music that work so hard and get paid so little that I know no other industry where you would have that. I literally, these guys are like, no union, no law would ever allow you to work that amount of hours under that conditions and I get that little. And they all do it because they love it. And this is actually the real appeal of the music industry, that there's still a lot of people in there that really like what they do. There's a lot of unsavory characters that are horrible. Drop some names. No. I don't know these people. No, I usually... How do you know so much about music? I work in it. Like for a few years now. Yeah, it's getting more years now. Now I've been making music all my life. Been working professionally in it for some time. I've been a manager before, which kind of like got me the connections to also get into music a little bit more directly. I don't know, it kind of like opens doors no matter what you do, I guess. And I don't like to name drop because I don't want to out people. And I usually don't, I'm very uncomfortable about talking about people that I don't personally know. I'll gladly talk about people I personally know because I can tell from experience I'm not afraid of their judgment. But when I hear these stories, it still could be wrong. I very much doubt it. But the person with the songwriter did say to me an explicit understanding that I can't really go around and tell that to people. I can always talk personal experience. People that I met I can talk about. But generally in the music industry, there's always a lot of people name dropping, and this person said this and this person said that, and I really don't want to I don't know, be a part of that, because you don't have to know the name in order to understand the story. And I think that most people, it wouldn't mean anything to you. If I say, okay, the lady's songwriter's name was Valeria Vasquez. What is it to you? You will never have heard of her. And it's not Valeria Vasquez. I just made that up. And other than me saying it, it will be the only time that it will have any relevance for you, because people know like the famous artists, but there's like hundreds of thousands of people that work in the music industry that nobody knows, because they're not, the frontline artists. They're not that person. They're just somebody working there. So when the name doesn't help, then I usually don't try to not say it. And I don't doubt that what she said was right, because the forum wasn't the forum where you would say there's going to be like there's like a whole lot of people in there, and then the people that are there are like fake or anything like that. So, and Arby says, yep, trickle up economy gigs here. Reagan said in the 80s it'd be trickle down. I'm still waiting. No, I think that one of the biggest bullshits that anybody ever said was the trickle down economy. I personally believe that Ronald Reagan was wrong on pretty much everything he said about the economy. I've hardly seen so much dumb shit said by anybody, and I am generally confounded on how so many people can believe that Ronald Reagan was a great president for the economy. He was an actor that mimicked what the lobbyists told him, and it was very stupid. It just, anybody who studies economy and who's not politically completely charged will tell you that a trickle-down economy, even theoretically, doesn't work, because it doesn't take into account the disbalance of power. It says that, that just money comes down from the rich people. But it doesn't take into account that very rich people have a whole lot of a whole amount of different power than poor people have. So if you're waiting on the natural flow of money down society, you'll be waiting forever, because those in power can make sure that money never flows down and stays with them. It's very easy for them. All they have to do is get the right laws and get the right environment set up for them to make sure that money never flows down and that money stays with them. And I think every economist in the world understands that. And one of the main conditions for a free market is equality of power of market participants. And this is literally in like, you learn this in the second month of being at university, that there can only be a free market if people have the same power, people have the same information, people have the same access to the market, and people have the same, it's like the space and time component. So they have access to the space and to the time. And then the best product will win. But in a situation where there's inequality of power, inequality of access, and inequality of information, there is no free market. There is only a monopoly or a oligopoly that will build, and that essentially defeats the trickle-down economy. So I think that one of the biggest criticisms on the free market theory was always that you would never have a situation to where every participant in a market was equal in power and information. And then some people criticized free market theory for that, saying, free market theory is like this idea, kind of like communism, that will never come to reality, because in reality, there isn't 9 million people in the world that have equal access to the market, have equal information about the market, and have equal power in the market. only then it would be free market. But quite to the contrary, it's actually heavily tilted. And Vinny the Godfather says, when it comes to politics, there's always money being thrown around, and leaves me questioning how much money is being used to make leaders as puppets. A lot. Rich people buy politicians. That's how it is. Just how much money is there in the economy? That information is usually limited to a major class for many. No, here it is. It is, what can I say? I went to school in Austria, and a lot of people in America are talking about the Austrian school, etc. And Austria is a good place. There's lots of economical theoreticizing that we've been doing over the years. But I think the entire world, meanwhile, accepts that free market theory is pretty much like communism. It's something that would exist in an ideal world, but in a flawed world like ours is, it doesn't. Communism says everybody's going to work, no matter how much they get paid. They're just going to work for the greater good, and they're not going to, as long as their basic needs are met, they're going to work for the greater good. Yeah, if people would do that, it would work, but they don't. And it's the same thing with free market. If people would all be the same, it would work, but they're not. People are not all the same in terms of power and information. And this is why you see wealth concentrations now that are bigger than ever before, because the market has never been so unfair, no matter where it is, no matter which sector of business it is. The creative industry certainly is a very unfair market. 15 artists make 85% of all the money in the creative industry, in the music industry. 15 artists make 85% of all the money in music. 15 people hold 70% of all the cryptocurrency. 15 people have 75% of all the world's money. You could just continue on, and you see that we are going towards a concentration economy, and technology has really helped that. Technology has helped very rich people exploit the people that have less than them to an even higher degree than they did before, and it has concentrated money and power even more than it ever has before. And that is not only sad socially, but this is also very dangerous, because now we have a bunch of somewhat sane people like Elon Musk leading the world. And I don't know. I have a somewhat weird relationship to Elon Musk. I don't know him personally, of course. I commend him for breaking the electromobility for the world, and for bringing that it was really good. But I also found out that this guy essentially lies when he opens his mouth. He's a very untruthful person and a very deceptive person. And there's many people in the world that are like this now. They're not people that you generally look up to as role models, as leaders. They are the grifters, the criminals, the profiteers, and the people that, by all means necessary, made it to the top of the food chain and are now mercilessly beating the ones under them, telling workers that they're essentially worthless pieces of shit and they need to work more for less money because they're lazy. And yeah, I don't know why the hate. Why the hate? Why do you have so many billions and you hate people so much? Why can you not give some of it away? Why do you have to tell everybody always what you did? And the answer is, and this says me as a sociologist, that a lot of these people are actually sociopaths. And this is what worries me slightly, because the modern technological society has enabled sociopaths to become the leaders of the world. I don't know if it was like that 100 years ago, but certainly is now. Really weird. And I don't know. I don't even know if I want to comment Jeff Bezos' behavior. You would probably call that bizarre. And Musk as well. But hey, it's a difficult world that we're living in, and it's even more difficult for artists. All right, guys, so I'm gonna get out of here today. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. I'm gonna get out in a little bit. I regularly contemplate a lot of shit. I'll be back on Wednesday at 2000 Central European Time with another topic in and around the music industry. With me always going on a soapbox about stuff. If you're interested in the label's music, you can go to CountZeroRecords.com. Check it out. Check out our YouTube channel, Count Zero Records YouTube channel. And the best way to stay in touch with us is our Discord channel. That's CountZeroRecords.com/Discord. And then you'll get an invite to our Discord server where we always hang out. It's kind of like the community of choice that I'm building here. I like Reddit too. But the downvote stuff, what the fuck is up with that? I did a little bit different stream the other day, like DJing and stuff. I got so many upvotes. And I'm doing these normal talking streams. I get so many downvotes. So I'm thinking to myself, I should be just shut up and play music and it will be a lot better. I don't know if that's it. Yeah, just like Jeff Bezos, he didn't criticize Amazon until he left. Yeah, got a lot of upvotes on that mixer. Yeah, that's what I was saying, RB. I'm doing it wrong. See, if I was an efficient marketer for myself, which I am not, that's what I would do all fucking day. I would just fucking stand there and be like, that's what people want to see. It's amazing. I'm here talking my head off. And people want to see somebody operating a mixer. The world is an interesting place to be. Oh yeah, I gotta get on that again. I gotta get on that mixer and earn my fried chicken. That's what I gotta do. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being a record label boss with your boy Avio. If you want, you can check out my music. Just type Avio in Google. Other than that, join us on the Discord server, and I see you on Wednesday on next record label boss 2000 Central European Time. I love you all. See you. Where am I gonna click? I'm gonna click here. All right. I'm gonna play the Ukraine extra for you. I love you.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну перепелимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну.
And Senpai says, did I miss the advice? He looks like somebody giving advice. I'm going to give more advice on Wednesday. So join me on Wednesday at 2000 Central European Time for next Record Label Boss with your boy Avio. I'm gonna give you all the advice you ever wanted. See you then.
А ми цую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну веселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона